Beauty is all in the eye of the beholder, and different cultures around the world have different standards on beauty. We spoke to some travelers that traveled to multiple countries and photographed women they saw out and about. Now you might not agree with what these travelers say, but beauty is subjective, so this is what they thought was beauty. Here are 29 photos of beauty defined around the world. I don't know if it's because of the tourism or just because it's Paris, but it attracts the most heavenly creatures I've ever had the pleasure of laying my eyes on. What made them so attractive was their grace, their poise, and how they handled themselves. Being from Texas, I'm used to the more brazenly and brash women. The women in Paris were so sophisticated and very ladylike, which is my preference. My family decided to plan a trip to Egypt where my uncle used to live. We had all traveled by ship and it took around a day to travel from Saudi Arabia to the city Cairo. I couldn't help noticing the amazing beautiful girls Cairo city had. All had an amazing Arabic look. Of all the countries we had gone in the week, even Mauritius had pretty ones, but in my opinion Egypt had a huge variety of amazing girls, and I still can't forget the visit to Africa just because my heart is there with those ladies. Ivory Coast. I lived and worked in Ivory Coast for 2 years. The women in that country were very beautiful and attractive with a dark complexion. They are very sweet and lovely. The women there are strong and confident and mostly extroverted. During my stay there I used to hang out with a lot of women and I had a great experience. Most of them spoke in French, so I couldn't really converse well with them since I knew little French and they hardly spoke English. Latvia. I think there is no doubt Latvia has the most beautiful women in the world. There are many blonde and tall women. They are thin and have beautiful eyes. Perhaps it is true that her character is more serious than the personality of the Western women. In the cities they are not very friendly at the beginning, but this is different in the capital city Riga. Croatia. I traveled a lot while I was studying. Most times I spent in Hungary and Bosnia, but the best-looking girls are definitely from Croatia. I can't recall meeting a girl in Croatia that wasn't sexy. They are mostly pale skin and beautiful. Very easygoing. Very friendly, and always ready for some fun. I had few girlfriends in Croatia, even though I am from Serbia, and our two countries don't have the best relationships at the moment. Anyway, every time I visited Croatia I had a great time, and I met a lot of different fun people. Thailand. I had many travels in my life and I have to say that I found the most beautiful women in Thailand. I found some really special facial features that make Thai women sweet, innocent, but a bit malicious in the same time. Most Thai women are properly curvy and usually their bodies are nice shaped. Ethiopia. In my opinion, the most beautiful women in Africa are from Ethiopia. There is something both physically attractive about Ethiopian women, but there is also something spiritual about the culture from that part of Africa. I can't help but feel an attraction to the Ethiopian women I met on my trip there. It was like the culture was so alien and mysterious that the women there were extra seductive. Japan. I have been to Japan a few years back and find Japanese girls very beautiful and attractive because of several reasons. 1. They have cute smile and easy to talk to them. 2. They look slim and have excellent figure. 3. Japanese women are generally sport jet black hair, which is highly attractive and as mentioned can contrast against their china white skin. 4. Japan also has its fashion style differentiated from other countries. And this of course means that they are better able to complement their exotic and beautiful looks as well as their slim frame. South Africa. During my brief visit to South Africa, the memories of the women I encountered stuck with me the most. It was my last day there before continuing my trip to New Zealand, and myself and others wanted to experience Namaqualand in the Northern Cape. Another group, locals, also joined the convoy with us to see the endless blossoming fields I only heard about months before arriving. We laughed and told stories about our home lives, and I couldn't help but notice how much confidence these women had, even more so than some of the males in the groups. Their beauty alone had me in awe, and being there with them, experiencing Namaqualand, is something I will never forget. Philippines. I had been to Philippines last year for my business. My expectations were completely fulfilled, because Philippines women were absolutely awesome and jaw-dropping to look at. They are the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. Their smile would put you on peak of the Everest. Such a beauty and structure they have, and I am sure these features would entice all men like me without fail. God has shown partiality to this world, because He has given enormous beautiful features to the Philippines women. The way they walk and speak would ever linger in my mind for a long time. United States. I have to say, out of all the countries I have been to, the United States has the most beautiful women. The women there are just so diverse. You have women of every shape, size, color, and they have so much self-confidence that it just intrigues you and makes you drawn to them. They know they can't take care of themselves, it just makes them so sexy seeing how they hold themselves, and they know they don't need anyone. Chile. A couple of years ago I went with my partner from work to his home country of Chile. The purpose of the trip was to help his family move, but we went out to some of the local bars and events every night we were there. I have never been somewhere with better-looking women. Every one of them is drinking and dancing and having a good time. My absolute favorite is their dark hair and their eyes. I am a sucker for brown eyes. They love American guys, and my southern accent slayed. I don't think the missionaries ever made it to Chile, if you follow me. One of the best experiences of my life. Argentina. I had the opportunity to visit to Argentina for an international level science competition held in the capital city Buenos Aires. I didn't know people really liked Saudi people and did respect us in every way. One person I can never forget was a short, beautiful girl. She had an amazing smile and the perfect figure. I don't think I had ever seen a more beautiful girl than her, and it wasn't just her. Argentina as a whole had the most amazing and beautiful girls, and they were very friendly. We had gone to Colombia and Peru as well as part of the tour. But trust me, Argentina was the real thing. Every woman who lived there possessed beauty like no one had. Brazil. Most Brazilians are fit. Brazilians like to show off. The beach is a place where people flaunt their bodies, especially their curves. In addition to the language and culture, which is very open and friendly, Brazilian women are descended from a unique mix of ethnic groups. All of these things, the culture, athleticism, and body acceptance, make Brazilian women very attractive. Brazilian women are the most beautiful women in the world because they represent women of the world. With ancestral influences from West Africa, Portugal, Native America, and Asia, we have the best of both worlds. There is a saying in Brazil that beauty is attitude. Our women exude that beauty that is not just about how you look, but the strength and attitude that goes along with it. I am proud to be a part of such a beautiful heritage, both physically and culturally. Singapore. Although there are beautiful and ugly women everywhere, the women in Singapore look much more beautiful than the women in my country, Vietnam. The reason for that phenomenon, in my opinion, is that women in Singapore are generally richer and more educated than women in Vietnam, so they dress nicer and more stylish. Women in Singapore also tend to work out more and wear makeups better than Vietnamese women. Sweden. Sweden has some of the most attractive women I've ever seen. The country is, of course, as people know, highly blonde, which is understandable if you see its location on a map, and blonde hair is often used as indicative of a high standard of attractiveness. Colombia. Colombia has by far the most beautiful women in the world. As soon as you step off the plane, you see a sea of brown faces looking back at you, and most of them are smiling back at you with glee. I don't know what they are feeding people over there, or what they are putting in the water, but the final results are a race of people who on average are just better looking than people from anywhere else. Germany. Personally, I think Germany has the most beautiful women. I live in the U.S. but traveled abroad to study in Germany, where I expected to find many plump short old German ladies with blonde hair. To my surprise, however, when I arrived in the country, I was shocked at how beautiful most of the young women were. This totally shattered my expectations and enlightened my spirits greatly. I would say in the U.S. we do have really beautiful women, just not as many as Germany. I am looking forward to traveling there again soon. Mexico. The women of Mexico were the most beautiful of all the countries I have visited. I've been to the northern and eastern parts of Mexico and have come across many beautiful women during all adventures. I love the sense of style in Mexico, which is sort of a blend of European and American tastes. The women have wonderful mixed heritages. They often have wonderful dark hair and gorgeous almond eyes. Also, their accents, particularly coupled with deeper voices, are very attractive. Romania. Spain as well as Italy and the Czech Republic clearly have wonderful girls, but I must say that, at the end of the day, Romanian women are, to me, the most beautiful of all. There is something about that Latin, Slavic, Greek melting pot that tickles my senses. Romanian women pay much attention to their appearance and posture, which, along with their natural, frequent beauty, often makes them incredibly sensual. Many are brunettes with blue or green eyes, which I find very pleasing. Last but not least, their sense of fashion is often impeccable, and they are not afraid of wearing tight clothing and generous cleavages to complement their beautiful bodies. Ukraine. Of all the countries I've visited in my life, the Ukraine is my favorite. The most beautiful women I've ever seen live in Ukraine. They are physically beautiful, with a distinct facial structure. The tone of their skin is what I consider to be perfect. The most enticing thing about Ukrainian women is their mannerisms. They have an elegant way of doing everything. Every movement is graceful, and they move with purpose. Ukrainian women are so beautiful, they make the trip to Ukraine especially enjoyable. Spain. Of all of the countries I have traveled, I have found Spain to have the most beautiful women. Spanish women have the most mysterious eyes and wondrously expressive faces. They can speak without using their voice. They are generally physically fit, and take care of their bodies. Their physical presence expresses who they are, what they are about. In Spain, a woman's appearance is part of who she is. Their physical beauty expresses the beauty of the person within. India. The women not only have excellent features, they are well endowed, and Indian dresses really accentuate their features without exposing a lot. The women are also more natural, less cosmetics etc., smart and intelligent. The diversity of the country is also enormous, and women in each region therefore are also different, and I like that about the country as well. I've had innumerable conversations with women across the nation, and I think Indian women have attracted me the most for reasons above. Italy. I have been in the city of Modena for over half a year. Walking the streets of the center was absolutely amazing, since the vast majority of women there were gorgeous. I love the way they dress up, the colors, the way they accessorize, the way they ride their bikes or scooters, the way they use makeup, the way their words sound in their language. Italian women are classy, open-minded, and it's a pure pleasure to talk to them. Another traveler couldn't help but think the same. Italy had some of the prettiest women I have ever seen. Both their complexion and clear skin made them look like they were constantly in the sun, without ever getting any wrinkles. Also, the variety of shapes and sizes they all are is astounding. And how they dress themselves just heightened their beauty. Nigeria. I can't explain why. Maybe it was the evening's libations I had enjoyed outside a quaint bistro in the city. But Lagos in Nigeria seemed to be the place with the most beautiful/sexiest women I've ever seen. The strange thing is that most were completely unaware of their charms, just walking along in groups of 2 or 3, some giggling or window shopping. The ones wearing the high stiletto heels and clicking together in rhythm were amazing. Even a female traveler agreed, saying, "I went to Nigeria 3 years ago and I thought that a lot of the women there were stunning. Some really could have been models." I am a white female standing at 52. These women were much taller than me, which gave them such an elegant look like you would see on the catwalk. Most of them had natural hair, which I admire. I love their flawless ebony skin, which required little to no makeup. Bangladesh. I judge the beauty of women on the basis of their behavior, body figure, and skin tone. I traveled to Bangladesh in January 2015, and this country had the most beautiful women, as most of the women had a perfect body figure and skin tone, and were quite friendly and easily mingled. Whereas I found the women of Nepal where I traveled on April 2016 a bit more reserved and arrogant, and also most of the women are skinny and underweight. Vietnam. I have been to 5 or 6 countries and the most beautiful women I have seen were in Vietnam. They had very light skin, most of them were in good physical condition, and they had some nice curves. The sexiest part about the women in Vietnam had to be their nice legs that looked so good in their short shorts. Unfortunately, they do not have the same interest in foreigners that other Southeast Asian women have. Another traveler said, "I find women of Vietnamese origin most beautiful. Vietnamese women often stand apart from the rest, they have good facial features and look absolutely fabulous. While most other Asian women from other countries have specific facial features, the Vietnamese women have neutral facial features, which I am sure is appealing to most men." Gambia. If I could return right now, this very moment, to Gambia, one of the most beautiful and purest places untouched by much of modern civilization, I'd be there this very moment. What struck me most about the women in particular was their honest and grounded nature. They were kind and courteous to me and curious about my own life. I was struck by the openness by these women and by their sincere desire to know about me. Costa Rica. The women of Costa Rica were amazingly beautiful. I visited Costa Rica 3 years ago, and what I recall from my trip is wonderful landscapes and beautiful women. I guess it was a harmony of Latin beauty with North American attractiveness which also brought them a few Miss Universe titles in the last 20 years. I have long heard about the Colombian girls and their beauty, but after my trip that thought has changed.